We all have moments that we would rather forget. That one time you fell in the cafeteria in 6th grade, the fight you had with your significant other last night, and those are just the small things. How many big things do you remember? Your first love, heartbreak, how it felt to graduate, how great it felt to get a job you worked hard for. Those memories fade over time, but why? Why do we need to forget? Now imagine this. You wake up tomorrow morning and you realize that you don't have to worry about remembering anything again. You won't forget your keys anymore. You won't forget names. You won't forget where you left the milk. In fact, you will remember everything. So what seems to be the problem? This is the host. This is our channel. And this is what would happen if humans stopped being able to forget. Act I, the golden era, the blessing. Imagine a world where everyone has a photographic memory. No one forgets anything. You might think that sounds like a great gift, and it certainly would seem like one at first. Every student would never forget a lesson, and would be able to ace every test. There would be no more lost keys or forgotten anniversaries. Deadlines would no longer creep up out of nowhere. Every promise would be kept. Businesses would thrive because every customer would always be remembered and every detail of every transaction filed away forever. Police could solve every crime by simply talking to a witness. No one would ever forget what they were doing when the case broke. Lovers would never forget their vows. Parents would always know exactly where their children were at any given moment. Doctors would never make mistakes. Surgeons would never miss a critical detail during an operation. Soldiers would never fire on the wrong target. Decisions would be made with the full context of history at hand. The world would become an incredibly efficient, utopian place. So why does this sound so bad? Act 2. The mental prison. The unbearable burden. Here's the second part of the video. Now try to picture your life. If you couldn't forget anything, you'd never forget a birthday. But you also wouldn't forget the embarrassment of accidentally calling your teacher mom. You'd never forget your first kiss. But you wouldn't forget the awkward fumbling that led up to it either. Imagine having every victory and defeat, every triumph and tragedy, every moment of pure joy, and every instance of crushing despair resurrected in your mind with the exact same force they had the first time around. Every hurtful word you ever heard, every cruel thing you ever did, every mistake you ever made, all stored in your mind and ready to be replayed at random times without warning. How long before your mind breaks? In a world where we never forget, the brain's natural process of forgetting would become impossible. It would become a prison, holding the key to its own destruction. Here's why. The human brain is capable of some truly remarkable feats, like storing a lifetime of memories, but it can't hold on to everything forever. That's why we have to forget. Forgetting allows us to focus on the present. It lets us sleep at night. It enables us to connect with new people without being burdened by old baggage. It allows us to learn new things without being stuck on past mistakes. It allows us to heal emotionally. But what happens if we can't forget? Let's say you're in a relationship and something goes wrong. Maybe your partner gets drunk and says something terrible, something that cuts you deeply. Even if there's nothing physically wrong between you, you decide to break up. Do you think you could move on in a world where you couldn't forget? Do you think you could ever trust them again? Trust is built on a foundation of forgetting. If we never forget, trust becomes impossible. What if your partner isn't the only one who remembers? If we can't forget, we can't forgive. If we can't forgive, we can't love. And if we can't love, then what are we? It's not just romantic relationships. Think about your friendships, your family members, your coworkers, everyone you've ever met. Every one of them is carrying around the same burden. Every one of them has experienced moments of weakness or made mistakes or said the wrong thing at the wrong time. Are you really sure you want to be reminded of every hurtful thing they've ever said or done? Because they'll remember every hurtful thing you've ever said or done as well. If we can't forget, social interactions become brutal. If we can't forget, we're too weak to go on. Act 3, the forgiven world, the final act. Okay, now listen closely. If humans could never forget, we'd be forced to rebuild the world in our own image. Nothing would remain the same. The legal system would collapse. Judges would wonder how they were supposed to deal with a lifetime of unresolved conflicts. Prisons would become mental hospitals. Lawyers would ask juries to take into account decades of bullying or childhood trauma instead of focusing on a defendant's actions on the day of a crime. Courts would be filled with relatives, friends, and witnesses who remember every interaction the defendant had with the victim. Punishment would become irrelevant. The focus would be on helping the accused heal and come to terms with their demons. Crime would become impossible to prosecute. No one would commit a crime knowing that they would be haunted by it for the rest of their life. Law enforcement would become redundant. And here's the final piece of the puzzle. If we couldn't forget, we wouldn't even know who we are. Our sense of self depends on the passage of time and the accumulation of experiences. If we couldn't forget anything, we would have no identity. We'd be like computers with infinite storage space but no operating system. So is forgetting a bug or a feature. Is it something that should be fixed or something that needs to be nurtured? Is it a weakness or the ultimate act of self-preservation? Is the ability to forget the most human thing of all? This is the host. This is our channel. And this is what would happen if humans stopped being able to forget.